Hello everyone, and welcome again to my channel in this Encounters with Beautiful Minds. Please think of liking and subscribing so that you too can become part of this process of spreading powerful and beautiful ideas, mostly during times like this, as we are recording this in 2021. And I think we can all use some help in many areas of our lives. And if you're interested to spread your message out there and become part of this process and be part of the solution, don't hesitate to contact me and let's book an interview together. Let's create this network of meaningful and resourceful conversations. And today I'm having the second part of the interview with Ibolya, Ibi. Welcome back to the second part of this beautiful encounter with your beautiful mind, Ibi.
Hi, Suzana, and hi, everyone. Thank you for your invitation, and it's lovely to be back.
Just to remind you, Ibi is doing life coaching, and she's a spiritual guide and mentor, and she's a certified Gene Keys ambassador. And this is what we're talking again today about the Gene Keys and this very interesting discipline. We were talking about this last time, maybe that to me it was a bit discouraging first time I met it. And I've learned a lot through the last interview, and it without, trying to please you or, pretend that, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed by it. I'm on the spiritual path for, if we can call it that way, for a long time now. And I think it had some, I wouldn't call it an impact, because impact is like it's something that is coming from outside, but a sort of an awakening. It's a big word as well. But it changed something and it created a sort of awareness. And since last time we met, I've practiced with the pauses and I found that useful. And I've been through some important changes. There's many things going on in my life at many levels these days, these weeks. And it's been useful. And I've listened to some of Richard's videos as well. So I am an insider now, if you want.
Yes. It's really a lot we are going through right now, and it's just the beginning, because the acceleration and the speed of our life, it's really huge. And it can be, or it seems a lot when you first encounter the Gene Keys, because let's remember, it's a synthesis. So it's a concentrated wisdom.
Yes.
And it brings many other teachings and wisdoms, ancient ones, and it's built, or it's presented in a modern way.
Yes, for our modern minds, complicated and complex minds. So you were mentioning, we were having a little chat earlier, and you mentioned that it is good to have this discipline introduced in an easier way. So how would you introduce it to someone, and where do we start? We mentioned last time we go on the website, we do our profile, and you will discuss briefly my profile, just to give an example. And but what would be the easiest and the simplest way to access this without being discouraged by all these numbers and all this information? It's 64 keys, though. It's lots of words there. It's lots of knowledge concentrated.
Yes. So first of all, the first step is to go on the genekeys.com website and to get your free profile.
Okay.
And maybe have take some time to explore the resume, because you will have a few sentences about each sequence on your profile, and just to feel those words and to get in contact with this map of yours. And you feel also to explore the first steps, which are mentioned also on the first pages of the Gene Keys.
We can repeat them now. It's never too much.
Yes, the first steps are so having the profile, and then having the book. That's another step, because there you will have the chance to start and to really start with the first key. But the second step, and this is from my experience and what we observed during the years, because the whole terminology and the sequences and the frequencies and the spectrum of the consciousness can be a lot for the first time. And a second step, which can make light and can really make it easy for the next steps, is having a reading of the profile with someone certified or someone who is really embodying the Jinki. And that is like opening the door and being guided, being showed what are all those spheres, what are all those words, what are the lines, and how to work with the Jinki. And then you can embark on your own contemplative journey.
I see. Okay.
It is very easy afterwards, because you start with the first sphere and you have a sequence. And when you finish that sequence, you go deeper in the second sequence. The first sequence is the activation sequence, and it unlocks the prime gifts and your genes. So it's made of 4 spheres. And it's really very easy to work with this first activation sequence. And then you go deeper and you move into the relationship and the emotional plane, which is a subtler plane. And you really, maybe we will speak more on the profile, so they can see also what we are talking about. But these sequences are 3, like everything in Jinki. Have the 3 layers and the 3 steps, and they are made of Trinity. And the third sequence is the Pearl sequence, and it unlocks the prosperity. But they have a certain, not logic, but it's really like a safe, and you are click, click, click. You are unlocking the codes of your own DNA. And by unlocking the codes, it's unlocking the potential.
Well, yeah, that's my question. I have thousands of questions now for you, of course. You speak 5 minutes and then I have 100 questions right after. That's the key. How do you unlock? That's what I want to find out. And that's, I hope, where we can make it clearer, at least for me. So basically, you go get your free profile. You get the book so you can start to read more about the keys that are in your profile. And it's good to have a meeting, like to have a session done with one of the ambassadors, the certified ambassadors, as they can actually guide you into, finding out the main line of your journey. And then you can start working by yourself through this contemplative process and start unlocking, talk. Okay, got it. You know what I realized after we had a conversation, and I listened to the interview 3 times, is that we are kind of going blindly. That life is a process that happens blindly most of the time, 95%, 99% of the time, I think we're just going blindly to life. And even in situations where we think we made a choice, even that choice, it's something that has been determined at a certain level. It's a sort of a pattern that acted through us. And that has been for me fascinating for many, many years. I wanted to know, where is my choice? Where is my free will? Where is that I am myself? Is there a myself, or not? And so I found that it's very important in this process of discovery of your own map, if you want, is you see the areas of blindness. At least you see where you are blind, and at least you see towards what you can move, and you don't feel stuck anymore into a certain patterns of behavior, emotional patterns, and you start to see where you have the choice. So from what I've experienced in these past 2 weeks is that choice, when it comes to me, is to see the pattern that has been the shadow, as we called it last time, to see this pattern and to see the possibility of moving into the gift. And my question, sorry, I know my questions are always long, but I need to explain this for my viewers, is how do we get from this shadow into the gift? And what is my part? What is the ambassador's part? And what actually happens? That's my curiosity. How does it happen? Because this is magic, no? When you think of it, finding the gift in a shadow is mystical. It's magical. It's what life is about, no?
Yes, and we have in the Jinkies a line which is really contains the concentrated form of this process, and it's called every shadow contains a gift.
Every shadow contains a gift.
That makes already it opens the door for the possibility of changing something and of having a higher purpose. So it's not just our suffering itself, but the suffering, at the end of the suffering, we have a higher purpose. And it's not just to suffer, it's because the seed of the highest potential is there in the density. What do we call shadow? It's a dense energy, and it's locked. It's really blocked there. So it's a dense energy. It's a dense frequency, and we need to take it out as fuel for our creative power, which represents the gift. So the shadow is the suffering, and most of the time is beneath the shadow is one big fear, which is the fear of death. And it's our resistance, and it's our fear to face and to enter into that suffering, because sometimes the suffering and the trauma is really big. And we try to numb ourselves or to really avoid to feel that pain because it's too much. It can be, we don't see where we are going, or at least that we need to go through, because the way to light is through the shadow.
It's very hard for someone who's going through challenging, overwhelming situations of life that are being caused by all these forces at work in our unconscious mind. You find yourself in a mess, you're suffering. How do you find the seed? Is that a revelation? Is that a declick? What is it to you? How is it?
It's a process.
And
the process is easier as so we spoke last time about the art of contemplation. The art of contemplation is the technique. So what it's more than a technique, but let's call it the tool.
The tool.
And it contains the 3 steps, the 3 stages of transformation.
Okay.
And what provides the art of contemplation is really a soft mirror of the suffering, a softening of the shadow, so you can look into and go into with not with a hard edge, so not in a real suffering or with pain, but just seeing and finding out that this shadow is not really personal. And when you go and start seeing the patterns, and you know that during the process, you are asked to be kind with yourself and to be
Mm.
compassionate and patient. Yes, to have patience with all this process, it's really softening the path of going into. And with awareness, it creates a space for awareness. And with awareness starts the transformation.
So it is a spiritual path, the gene keys.
Yes, it is. And it's not a quick pill. It's not a quick recipe, but it gives you, it empowers you. It empowers you because you are not alone. You have a global community, first of all, with people who are going through the same processes and who are speaking the same language. But also, you see the light. You see, you have a purpose.
You have a purpose. And sometimes the purpose is not necessarily in what we do, what we achieve. It's simply in discovering the diamond in that mud, in that suffering.
Yes, exactly. On the activation sequence, we have a sphere called your higher purpose, and the definition of this sphere is not something you need to do, or is not a kind of mission of yours here
Mm-hmm.
on, but it's who you are. It's really the texture of your being, and when
Wow. Oh, wait, that vibrates the texture of your being. I love that. I love that. So that's what actually changes.
yeah,
The texture that you're made of, your being is made of.
yeah, yeah. And by only by knowing who you are and feeling those words, and getting to know for yourself in your life what you are already offering and radiating those qualities. And this is your purpose, to be yourself.
So this
To
is
be,
yourself. Being yourself means being into this higher frequency of the potentiality of who you can become. Change, change.
to express and to manifest your quality and your genius.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The process of transforming the shadow and approaching the shadow in the jinkies is made of three steps. First of all, it's allow. By allowing, you make space for that shadow. It's not judging, but acknowledging. You don't need to agree, but you don't need to like it, but you make space. You allow that shadow to be.
Okay,
And
concretely speaking, how do we do that?
so you observe that you lost, I don't know, your patience, and you
Mm-hmm.
became, and you are impatient. You don't have patience. Instead of judging yourself or feeling guilty afterwards, you just let let it be.
Okay, so allowing it. Okay, this is impatience, and that's what it is. Okay,
Yes, for now. And
for now.
then the second stage is just accept. Because when you make space for the shadow and you are not rejecting, you don't try to get rid of, or you deny, I'm not like that. Or um, no, it's not me. So when you allow that to
Yes.
be, and that part of you which is impatient, who is impatient, then you can go to the next step. And making space, you will have you will have space to accept that this aspect exists in you. And you can be like that, but you can choose not to be as
Mm-hmm.
well. And when you make space, it already transforms.
Just by making space, just by allowing it, it transforms a little bit.
And then at the end, the last stage of transformation is embrace. It's like integrate. You are also mine. All is welcome. And that way, that part with the shadow doesn't need to appear all the time in your reality because you saw it, you accepted, it's yours, you integrate it, and it dissolves.
I see. I see. So we have allowing, accepting, and embracing. These are the 3 steps. Okay. All right. And how did it happen to you?
An example
Yes.
also from my jinkies. So in my radiance, which is related also with the health, um, it's I have jinky 18 and the shadow is judgment. So these are the 3 steps and how it appeared in my life. I was working in the corporate world, but I knew that it's not my highest potential. It was for the first years, but I was already in that stage that I wanted to do my coaching part and I was looking for something. And after I encountered the Gene Keys and I started working with that, because it was not in my integrity, it got very physical. In the when I was going to work and I was parking, my knees were not responding anymore. So my me going to that job, it was really challenging, and it
Physically
started.
challenging.
Yes, it it started to really have a lot of problems with my health. That was the because the integrity is really okay. You need to be aligned with yourself. So it really forced me to see that I was not respecting. I was not walking the talk, and it was so easy. It took a few weeks, and it just came with a big piece. So I just resigned, and I started with full time.
Full time doing this. I see. So there is a sort of recognition, there is a sense of peace and clarity that comes with through these steps. Like you can recognize that you're moving more towards the gift and moving towards the city. There is, or you know that you're not there yet because of some physical or emotional struggles. Is that it?
Yes. So you start to feel first in your body. That's the first step. That's activation sequence. It really relates to the physical part, the material plane, the body.
Yes.
And then the second part is with healing the wound, the emotional part, healing your relationships. But for that, you need to have what we call core stability. And the core stability is your body. And
I see.
it has to do with knowing your purpose. When you know your purpose, then you can evaluate if your relationships are somehow sustaining your higher purpose, or they are preventing you to be who you are. And then you can choose if that's just a karmic relationship or it's a relationship genius to genius when we can do things together. And that goes to the third part, which is the pearl, which shows you what is the right geometry, the social geometry where you work perfect. Like, what is your place in the community, in the teams? What are your tribes? So what fractal do you have? because that fractal will come to you. And this is the third part where you feel it moves, because your life starts to fall in place. Let's say your relationship starts to flourish. It's not exhausting anymore. It's not a fight anymore. It's just a conscious place for grow together and to create together.
Wow, beautiful. And all that we can discuss during a session.
Yes, you will have a clear map, and you will start to recognize parts of yourself which start to make sense. So separate parts which you thought is to be judged, they become like treasures where you need to find diamonds.
I see. Okay. So if I was to take a session and do a session with you now, and I gave you my date of birth and the place of birth, where would we start? Like just to have a little demonstration here for my viewers to make them curious and to want to do that for themselves.
I will share my screen. Yeah.
So everyone, this is my beautiful profile.
So you will get from the website. This hologenetic profile is called, and it starts with 3 phrases, one for each sequence. So first, the first sequence, the activation sequence, is called the genius. So it unlocks your genius. The second, the Venus sequence, it unlocks love. And the third one unlocks prosperity.
I see.
And you will have a quintessence of each sequence, which is specific for you. Then you have, for the activation sequence, for each spheres, a few words which are more in detail, and you can go through them and already understand what is your journey through life. And the third page contains...
Yeah, this is where I got scared the first time.
It contains this beautiful geometry, which is a sacred geometry somehow. And as you see, you have a few colors.
Yes.
Those are the sequences. And the first, you have the outer circle made of 4 spheres. And this is the activation sequence. And it contains your prime gifts, which make your genius, because genius doesn't mean you need to be Einstein, because you are a kind of Einstein when you express your qualities. Everybody is genius when it's doing and it's expressing the natural qualities. And then,
why is there a point something? Does it mean something like 55.4 or 34.6?
yes, let's see what is in each sphere. So for each sphere, this is the life sword, the first step on the golden path.
Yes.
Here you have the Jinky 55. The first number, it's from 1 to 64, and it represents the Jinkies. It doesn't have any hierarchy, so it's not 55 is bigger than 52. It's just the name of the Jinkies, And the line after the dot, you have a line, a 1-digit line, which is from 1 to 6, which represents it's like lens, which is specific for you, for this sphere. And it represents a part of the core wound, which you are here to heal. And it's also a quality. When you heal that wound, it becomes a quality, and it's adding to the gift of the sphere.
Are these 6 levels also fixed? Like each number signifies something, just like the 64 keys?
They have a general quality.
Yes.
Then when you apply them on certain sphere, they have a specific quality there.
Oh, I see. So it gets complicated. It was not just an impression. It is complex.
It seems, but when you start working, it's not anymore, because you will recognize always the fourth line like a core quality, and then it's adding layers for a certain sphere. But first, I want to mention what represents these 6 lines. So the first line is the wound of repression.
Mm-hmm.
The second line is the wound of denial. The third line is the wound of shame. The fourth line is rejection. The fifth line is guilt. And the sixth line is separation. These wounds are all part of the core wound when we were separated from source, from the divine. So we came to experience as individuals, but when we were separated by the divine source, the primordial source, this felt like a wound. And this wound has these 6 lenses.
I see.
And the line 4, for example, here in life's work, it means the server. You are here to offer a service. You are doing what you are doing because this allows you to create connections heart to heart. So your life's work, this sphere, is what you are here to do, but not like a career, a certain career. This service, to offer a service and to be in service for community and for others, and also to make these connections from heart. But so is the quality of your consciousness which you are putting in everything you do.
I see.
This is the line, and this is giving a lot of information. Also, the life's work is the connection point with your last life. So somehow in your last incarnation, you mastered this freedom at a certain level, so you can start this life from here. Because you have already experience, and you are not starting from zero, let's say. And that's why you can go to the next level with that. So,
and for everybody, we have all these 4 spheres on the external circle, right? For everybody is the same, like life work there, then you have the radiance, the evolution, and what is on the bottom, the purpose, right? So this is like for everybody is the same.
Yes, the geometry is the same according to their birth date and location.
The numbers will be different. I see, but the geometry will always be the same for everybody.
For the first meeting, I would go through the profile and explaining what are the 3 states of consciousness. So the spectrum of consciousness for each sphere, the lines, and also going through the sequences very briefly. So going through the activation sequence, and then Venus sequence, and then the Pearl, to understand which are your specific qualities and which are your specific themes in life.
So can you please go briefly through the meaning quickly of all these little spheres here? So I have life's work and meaning on top.
Yes, life's work is what you are here to do. It's the doing part. So these 2 are relating with doing and becoming. This is the evolution.
Yeah.
This is the sphere which will bring you the challenges, because it takes you out from your comfort zone, so you can evolve. you can gain new um, territories of consciousness, let's say.
Okay.
And then this line, also the pathways, we don't have them here, but this pathway is called the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Between the conscious and unconscious, this is the veil, and you need a breakthrough so you have access to the unconscious,
I
right?
see.
And then you go to the unconscious, which is the radiance. This is your inner sun, your inner light.
The inner light. Radiance is the
And
inner light.
yes,
Okay.
and it governs also the health. So
Mm-hmm.
you have any health problems or health issue, it's a sign that where you live or the people around became toxic, or you need to change something in your immediate reality. And then between the two, the pathway is called the core stability. And the last one from the activation sequence is your higher purpose. These two are related to being. It's who you are.
Okay.
The red ones are a map of all your relationships,
Okay.
and also a map of your conditioning, because during the first 21 years, in cycles of 7 years, we are conditioned. And these are the SQ, which represent our physical body, where are stored wounds and traumas or fears. This is the conditioning for the physical body, the SQ, the first 7 years. And then the EQ, the emotional intelligence, is
Mm-hmm.
developed during the next 7 year cycle, from 8 to 14 years. And
Yes.
here we develop the defense mechanisms, right? So the emotions are very strong, and also it's our body is under this hormonal development and all this sexuality and all this. And then during the last cycle of 7 years, from 15 to 21, our mental body is developing, but we also receive um, limiting beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
or what society wants from us, what we saw at our parents or our adults, or our, I don't know, role models.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have also the place for the buttons, for the triggers, what triggers us. And all these three layers create a dynamic. And when we see that it's really a pattern, and we can stop it, and we can change our lives, it's really empowering, because nobody can escape the wounding part. The wound is given or impregnated in our mother's womb, um, and we have to heal it. This is our collective purpose. This is what we agreed to heal on behalf of all humanity. This is our part of healing here in the core wound. And then the last sequence is unlocking prosperity. It's our contribution to community and to the whole. When we healed our core wound, it becomes our vocation,
Mm-hmm.
because we healed and we unlocked those codes inside our DNA, and we can give them, we can offer them, we can contribute them back to the whole community. The culture, for example, so this is the vocation, this is the quality of our healed heart, when we already are able to keep our heart open all the time. And the culture is the geometry in which we function the most efficient. For example, the line two, in your case, you see partnership. you function perfectly in one-to-one partnership.
Wow.
And then the pearl is
Yes.
your main quality, is what why people will come to you.
And what is for me? Force, strength, majesty. The same. It's 34.
Yes, you have
Again.
the 34 again. Yes. It's like and you have also the 43 two times. And the two, they are making a codon ring together of destiny. And it's also the 34, it's representing the evolution force, and the 43, the involution of the spirit. So the evolution of matter and the involution of spirit. And they make together this codon ring of destiny. It's beautiful because you have it's a new layer of your purpose and of your incarnation this time. And also you have many lines of 4 and 6. And these 4, 6 are both on the higher octave, because the first 3, they are personal. They mean you have something to experience in your personal, but the 4th, 5th, and 6th, they are transpersonal. So
yes.
You have a role beyond, as you said, it's beyond me. It's like a higher force which moves me, who moves me. Yes. And the 4th is always about love and heart, community, belonging, and kindness.
Interesting.
It's responding to kindness.
I see.
Yes.
So if I just go, because I went and I did my my profile, if I take this now that I understand a bit more, and people watching now can do that as well at home, they do their own profile on the website. They will have exactly this. They'll be able to go, and if they purchase the book, of course, and have access to the information just by reading the significance of each key, what it means. They could have some insights into the life purpose, the work, the relationship, the wound. Do you think that somebody can actually go ahead and heal the wound by themselves? Would it be best to have a conversation with someone?
The whole synthesis and the whole teaching of the Jinkies is made in that way. It's a personal, it's an inner journey. So somebody can tell you and be with you and guide you or explain a certain terminology, but when you feel it, you start feel it, and you go into deeper into this art of contemplation. I recommend this course. It's really a little course. It's available online and it's very cheap. It's affordable. Start with the art of contemplation.
Start with the art of contemplation. Okay.
That will give you will bring you inside the teaching.
And this is given by Richard.
Yes. And it's a little sweet course with the whole book available online, and also he's reading with his voice, and he's explaining by himself the art of contemplation, and that is making the connection with the transmission. And when you start feeling that, you can go and start contemplating by sequences and make an online course, or just register to a deep dive, which is these online courses made by big groups around the world, and just be inside the community and be connected with the transmission. They are available on jinkies.com forum.
Okay, there is a forum.
And yes, there are threads, and you can just be there. Also, it's available on Facebook. It's Jinkies Global call.
Okay.
Public, you can join.
We can add those links after, at the comment section of the interview. So it's quite clear, actually. It's very simple to see whether we're in the shadow or in the gift, because it's a huge difference.
Yes. Yes.
That's I think that's why it becomes overwhelming for many people, because we
Also,
realize that we're basically it's all a shadow, and the experience of the gift, or forget about the city, it's so rare that people believe that the whole thing is wrong, and that's why people give up on believing, or daring to go even further into searching what's there behind or beyond. So it's
and
quite simple. We're in the flow. When it vibrates, you are in that gift. Yeah,
energy starts flowing inside you and
yeah,
around your life, and you start attracting, because this attraction field is the place where you attract not only the intimate partners, which is the main part, but also all situations and people are attracted through this magnet, this attraction field. And when you clean your attraction field and you start knowing how you function and where you close yourself and where you close your heart.
great. Well, thank you. That's interesting. Would it be anything else that we would do in the session? Unless I had a question, probably. If I had a question, you would probably look into
uh,
that.
Most valuable is the question,
I
because
see.
the question is an active layer of consciousness which is presenting, it's alive in that moment, and that really guides us through the profile,
I see.
and it shows us what needs to be addressed and what kind of wound needs to be seen in that moment. And that's the starting point, and that's the most valuable, I believe.
Wonderful. I like this. I like this, creating the awareness and understanding what's in there. As I was saying earlier, where we're going blindly through life and we want to do the right thing, and probably many people want to do the right thing. That's why many people go into therapy and all kinds of practices, because they feel that there is something more that they can do and be, and they don't know how to do that. Many people struggle with patterns, and this is a beautiful way to do it. Thank you so much for sharing this short session with our viewers here. Um, and maybe we'll meet one day if you have time. You can do a reading for me. We're always spiraling around, and we learn and we learn and we learn. And as you said, it's never ending. But as you said also, from a certain point up, it's enjoyable. Like you really enjoy the ride. So it's not a struggle anymore. It's an adventure. And when it becomes an adventure, it's really cool.
Is the best word, adventure. When you can see that as adventure,
Yes.
The whole life is changed.
It's changing, yeah. How do we know when things have changed? How do we know that something has been transformed? How do you know we reached the gift or the city? Well, this is it. Your life changes. You feel differently. You are in the flow. So this is all we all want. See, unconsciously, we all want that. Nobody wants to feel stuck and happy and suffering, although we do that all the time.
Because we are here to offer our geniuses and our qualities is not just to suffer, but the first part of our life is unlocking these qualities. So, of course, we are here to enjoy each other and to put together these qualities and to create.
Let's go then into the how is actually happening. We have identified the profile. We've seen what are the frequencies. We know what are the shadows. We know what's that lines and all these connections. What is influencing what? And we studied a bit the gene keys, and now we start to do some contemplation.
So the first step is to create pauses during your day. A pause is like a sigh or a deep breath. That can be the shortest pause, but it's really resetting. It's resetting your energy without agenda, without looking for something. That's very important. And because you plant this, it's like making holes in the metrics, in the automation, right?
Yes.
And then when your body starts to know these places and to really want to live them and to create them more and more, insight will come. Because what you are doing with pauses, you create spaces
You create
for
space, yes.
insights to come. And what comes with insight? You start to observe patterns in your life. The next step is during these pauses, an emotional pivot will happen. What does it mean? You see the pattern and you choose for one time to do differently,
Okay.
not to react, to stop, I don't know, that reaction. The whole chemistry of your body is changing with the frequency.
I see.
That is the first benefit.
That's nice. I like that because most of the time people don't know how to react differently because they've been reacting like that the whole life, and that's so it's so mechanical and it's so well planted in there that they would know how to react differently. But just you don't have to change the way you do it completely. Just at least stop doing the way you were doing it. I love this interview. Yeah.
You bring the pause in that moment of
Yes.
the
Yes.
reaction preparing. So you put the pause. What do you do in the pause? You bring your awareness.
And just see the beauty in that experience. Okay.
That will pivot, okay? And you moved on a different pathway. Next time, maybe the reaction will come, but you will already know this imposter. You will recognize it and you say, oh, I know you. Okay, you can go because I'm not going there anymore. And after a few times where the reaction is still living in your body, so until it leaves your body,
yes,
you will stop it very easily, and then it dissolves because you created a new pathway.
I see.
You chose a new direction, and that's the pivot. And then you are merging with all that is. That's the last stage. And how it comes, it's really the last step is a physical. It's a physical feeling. It's inside your body a spaciousness which allows you to receive the other inside you.
I see.
That's the merging.
Okay, so now I understand a little bit more on how it happens and why contemplation is important, why contemplation is necessary. But you mentioned to me that just by the energy and the knowledge of the ambassador, something can happen as well, right? As an ambassador, do you witness this often? I mean, do you see people changing and shifting their lives just after one session?
The journey in the Gene Keys is called the journey of self-illumination. And why is happening? Because every time you have an insight, every time you have a breakthrough, every time you unlock something in your DNA, more light can come out, can radiate through your whole life. And that's why really the ambassador program was not necessary program about learning information based or learning something, because the teaching is there. It was more about embodiment, and this is something which is happening also when you embark in a deep dive or in a journey like the activation sequence or Venus sequence. It's what you are doing, you start to embody those qualities because you recognize and you start to be more confident about expressing them.
Absolutely. That's one aspect of it. For sure.
You create a field, you create a space, you create a container for the other to really see things about himself. And that's why it's happening, and that's why it's valuable. It's not necessary, it's not mandatory, but it really helps you to get inside the teaching, to understand not with the mind, but somehow to unlock things inside you. And when you start seeing that you are not some piece of machinery which needs to be repaired, but it's just okay. I can transform that, and okay, there are 7 billion people also having and struggling with their shadows and going through this, and everything change. Everything is changing. So you see the light at the end of the journey, and you feel there is a way out in your hands.
Yeah,
But
a
it's
way
not
out.
meant, because I can talk with somebody and in 5 minutes, and it understands mentally, right? But it doesn't really touch him inside. And I believe that's happening during the session. It's really, you receive the transmission inside, and then you can go and do your journey and
So
make.
the answer to this keys, because we're talking about it last time, and you mentioned to me that actually it's the keys, these gene keys are being activated. It's literally a literal activation. It's not just let's imagine things and flower power, meditation,
That's
positive thinking.
the purpose of going through sequences, because during a deep dive, for example, when we contemplate collectively, like a global group, right, with hundreds of thousands of people at once, during a month, we contemplate each our own sphere of life's work, right? That really makes a field of contemplation which unlocks. So each sphere you contemplate and unlock something in your DNA. That's the whole purpose of going through this sequences.
I see.
And
Wow.
also, the first session, you unlock your first layer.
I see. So do we need normally more sessions? One session is enough? How do you work with people? It's like it's a follow-up, or you do a first session to discover all these main like general lines of work?
The
People
first
come
session
back after, or
gives you an image, gives you perspective.
yes.
You understand what is about, and then you embark in a journey. You can go and do that journey alone online, right? You have online the activation sequence. You can work with an ambassador or a guide or somebody
Yeah.
who is embodying the jinkies. And that can be like many sessions or during a few months, or but the contemplation and what's happening, it's really in your hands. It's in your contemplation. It's in you finding in your daily life those places where carries insight and wisdom and pauses, and you slow down, and you slow down to the rhythm of the earth, right? You attune yourself with higher order and the rhythm of the universe, and then you can receive more energy, more wisdom. You can access higher planes and higher frequencies for yourself and for the highest purpose
Yeah,
of
for
the world.
others. I
Yes,
see. So this is what one can expect out of this session, a sort of an opening towards these things, accepting more, understanding actually more of your qualities, your gifts, because many people probably are not even aware that they have these gifts, even though they use them.
it's like after a session or after starting the journey with the jinkies and having your profile, it's like seeing your picture for the first time, and like really seeing the beauty, and what you judged before, or you said, oh, it's not like on that model on the cover of the magazine, but your uniqueness, you see the beauty and the value, and how precious it is, what is unique to you, and
Yeah.
you can, for the first time, maybe.
So I was having a last question, which was about how can we be like kinder to ourselves, especially when we start reading the description of the keys and you see the shadows, like, and you recognize a lot of that in you. How do you deal with your own shadows, Ibi?
So I deal with my shadow. I learned to make the shadow my friend.
How do you do that?
Really sit with them, and I don't fight anymore. with that state. I used to fight with numbness. I have one of my shadow is numbness. And I was like, okay, nothing is happening. Everything is boring. I don't find motivation. I cannot move from the chair. And it was depressing. And it was like all the judgments just coming to me. Oh, you're not worth, you don't even try to do something because you are not. And then I realized that when I stay in that place, it will start a flame, but only if I stay. If I start moving to soon, or I try to cover with something, or I try to distract myself, or to do something forced, right? It's just not working. It's just going deeper in the shadow. But when I stay and I am curious about, okay, I don't feel anything. I just stay. And I have the courage to stay a bit, a flame will appear, right? I feel um, bored. I feel whatever shadow, but just expressing, you make space for it. It's just
Yes.
like you allow to exist. You
Yeah.
acknowledge.
A
Yeah.
knowledge. Yeah, it's very simple. Actually, the truth is very simple, and the way out, if there is a way out, because it's a whole process, is nothing to move out of and nothing to go into. We're already there, right?
Enjoy the adventure. You
Enjoy the
just
adventure.
yes.
Yeah. So, okay, so it's very clear, guys. Whenever it feels heavy and it's painful and it's suffering and it shows in the body, we're in the shadow. Whenever it starts flowing, whenever we feel happy, alive, and we feel that pure motivation that is not even a drive because you don't want to get something, you're just spontaneously expressing something there in the moment, then we start to move towards the gift and the city. And it's all a process, it's all a journey, it's an adventure. And yeah, I hope some of you will benefit from this and will go on the website and visit this beautiful work, subscribe to their email list. And if you need a session, private session, I'll put the coordinates of EB right in the comment section below. EB, do you think we could do a third one? I sometimes do three.
Yes, it matches the
Matches,
GC.
yeah, we have to do. There's no two without three, we say, right?
I would love to, yes, to complete the
We
three.
complete the sequence because it's just the Trinity that is important. And in the third one, I would like to literally talk about what we're experiencing today to complete this series and talk about this, what's coming, what's this 7 years about. So people don't feel scared. So people trust the journey and not blindly, like in a false positive thinking, no, I trust everything will be okay. It's the level of awareness, is the level of your being. And like Ibi said, is this fabric, the texture of your being that needs to be modified. Is not just by sitting home feeling depressed and saying, oh, I trust that everything will be okay, they will make things. You will need to become, to activate yourself, to raise this vibration and be part of what's coming, rather than staying there and endure, or feel a victim.
There is a difference, a big difference between resignation
Yes.
and surrender.
Yes.
Surrender means surrender to a higher purpose,
Yeah.
surrender to a higher level, to a higher force, but being aware.
Yes. Yes.
And just riding the wave and flow with what's happening at a global level, and not being lost in underneath.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, this is what we can do. We discuss about what's coming next, what you've learned from Richard, and what you have acknowledged, and also maybe now that you mentioned this, I had this idea to talk about, to clarify terms, because in spirituality there's lots of confusion about, and I love Richard's work for that, because words are clear. Like, for instance, how to surrender, forgiveness, all these terms. and guilt, and because people get stuck in those terms. I feel guilty, but they don't even know what they talk about. So I would like to take a few of these, and those of you who are watching now and want to have some certain subjects discussed, just add some comments here on the channel, and I'm going to look into them and include them in a conversation next time, so we can discuss about surrender, about guilt, about love, about what are we talking about. Let's be clear with our words and in the way we express ourselves.
It's beautiful how you chose this topic, because it's really something valuable. Jinkies has this language carrying frequency, and also just by reading or listening to the audios, um, the frequency of the language is already making changes in your DNA. But also about clarifying is beautiful, because in the book, at the end, you have glossary of empowerment, and
Oh,
there are certain terms explained very, very clearly. They are concentrated pills of wisdom.
this is very valuable to me. In any case, I hope it's valuable for everybody listening. Go check the gene keys, start to know a little bit more about yourself, learn what are the challenges, what are the shadows, and just go ahead and explore the gift that you can be to the world. Thank you, Ibi. Any last word you want to say before we end the conversation?
Thank you so much for your invitation, and I want to pay forward the invitation to those who will listen and those who will see us, to just place in the comments their own questions, whatever appears and whatever is, I don't know, is happening in their life. Just put a question and we will go through that. And it's been a joy.
Yeah,
So,
always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks again, and thank you all for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel. And of course, if you have something to say and want to have a conversation with me and spread your message and clarify what's important, you contact me and let's talk, and I'll see you all very soon.